Plans for our roads. I am Keminni Amanor, and this is Hot Issues. This week, I sit down with the man at the helm, a seasoned legislator, infrastructure advocate, and now Minister for Roads and Highways. My next guest is Kwame Abuja.
Intense, fresh,
You're welcome to Hot Issues, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Keminni.
I want to start with your very impassioned exchange with your predecessor, the former Minister for Roads and Highways, Asenso Boakye, in Parliament. And why were you so impassioned by what he said?
First of all, I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to share this wonderful platform with you. Once upon a time, it used to be a weekly stop for me. On a particular day, I will be here to join other panelists to discuss issues of national importance. Yes, in Parliament last week, towards the end, we were wrapping up the debate on the government's mid-year review budget policy. It is expected that both sides of the House will make their points based on the major issues. My colleague, my predecessor, former Minister for Roads and Highways, Honorable Asenso Boakye, took his turn as the immediate past minister. Of course, he's got something to say. His point was that he was concerned that the new government is intending to spread the infrastructure network across the country. Indeed, if you check social media, he was quite concerned that I was intending to build roads to places he thinks the population doesn't reflect. His points were mainly based on Accra and Kumasi. He's a planner by profession. I shared the same faculty with him at KNUSC some time ago, and he knows that one of the reasons every young people in Adaklu today may be tempted to relocate to Accra-Kumasi is simply because of the lack of opportunities down in Adaklu. So planning principles suggest that while to take care of taking care of the needs of the people in the populated areas, you also improve the conditions of people wherever they are. So there's no temptation for everybody to migrate to one location. So it was difficult for me to believe that in 2025, if you drive across the country as a road minister, you would have no choice than to feel very sad that over the years, we have completely neglected extending infrastructure to certain parts of the country, which are sometimes more productive in terms of agriculture and other things. So, but I ended up by saying that, well, President Mohammed's vision is to extend infrastructure, road infrastructure to everywhere in the country, because that will spur growth and enhance the 24-hour economy. They can decide that whenever they get power again, they can neglect other regions. But as far as we have opportunity, we are going to make equity out of the opportunity that we have.
We'll go a little further and look at some of the points that he had raised in that exchange. But what I want to understand now is, what is your strategy for the route selection?
Okay, so the strategy came naturally. We have very few corridors in our country that links east-west, south, north of the country. So for instance, if you were in Takoradi and you want to go to the western north of the country, not western north in terms of region, i.e. if you want to go to Wa or Hamele, you will need to traverse the road from Takoradi all the way through Wenchi, Sola, all the way to Wa, and maybe heading back to Hamele. If you were in Tema and you want to go to, let's say, Damanko, you would have to travel all the way through Hohwe, Jasikan, Pasa, all the way to that side. None of these roads, if you were to travel on them, would be anything that you'll be happy about. But you'll be surprised that a chunk of what you and I will consume today in terms of staples, rice, yam, and maize and other things have to traverse that terrible route. And it is just clear in our minds that if we improve the road network in those areas, we first of all are improving the lot of the Ghanaian farmer across the country. We are also actually opening up the country up for better business and more productivity, because the longer hours you travel, the damage to the vehicles, pollution and other things. And also, if you were to try to move from the northern part, let's say Wa to Bolga, currently, it is completely neglected. You will be surprised you are driving in Ghana if you were to travel along that route. And then if you were, for instance, Accra, even if you were to be, today is Sunday, in few hours, our compatriots coming from, let's say, Aflao, trying to enter Accra, will have to go through hell just because of the traffic from all the way Central University heading into Tama and Accra. If you were to be trying to go into Kumasi from Accra, you suffer the same thing trying to enter Kumasi. So there's a need for us to develop what other countries have tried and tested, loops around Accra, so that we can detour if you don't have any reason to be in Accra. Kumasi is the second most important city in Ghana. If you go there now, the traffic isn't working. A few of the traffic heading from Accra don't necessarily want to have anything to do in Kumasi. They were just using it as a thoroughfare. They were going through. So the president's vision is that we should do a loop around Kumasi, so that if you don't intend to go to Kumasi, you can just do a detour around Kumasi and head elsewhere. Tamale is probably one of the fastest growing cities in West Africa. It's not working traffic-wise. It's limiting productivity. Sunyani the same. So the selection of the projects are as simple as this. We want to complete the western corridor. That is Wenchi all the way to Wa to Hamele. We want to do Wa to Bolga. We want to complete the eastern corridor from Tema all the way to Damanko, and then maybe from Bintri and beyond. So it is not, you don't have to think about what to do, because the problem is staring us all in the face. So it's quite easy to select. And the second part is those projects that were awarded by the predecessor government, but without any dedicated source of fund. For instance, you saw the number of threats and eventual demonstration about Ofankor Road. It is a project awarded at a cost of about $340 million on GOG budget in dollars. The contractor has done some work, raised certificate of $77 million, and was not paid. So he basically more or less packed off the site. The public doesn't understand that it is simply because the previous government did not pay the bill. So we take over power. In a few months' time, we are expected to pay the $77 million, which is money due the contractor. Fortunately, I mean, the finance minister started disbursement of some funds to the contractor.
To the off-and-call contractor.
Exactly. Okay. My information is that as of the close of last week, over 400 million Ghana cedis have been paid towards that, because the public says that despite the fact that there are many road projects which have been stalled, this is priority of priorities. I mean, that is why everybody was like, fix this, fix this. And then...
right, so then, hang on, before you move on, we should expect some work to be done on the off-and-call stretch.
Without a doubt. If you are a contractor, we pay you that kind of money. We have prioritized your project amongst others. I expect.
You can say that, but remember also that the contractor is owed for work done.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So
if
tomorrow morning,
400 million cedis,
yes,
right?
Yes.
It could be that it's only deferring a bit of what he's done already.
That is not how it works.
That's not how it
received
works.
other payments in the past.
Okay.
So without a doubt, I'm expecting that contractor's activity on site to scale up significantly from this week, because it's received some money. Because I know contractors also have received nothing, and they are still on site working. So without a doubt, I'm expecting a significant scaling up of activity on site. And then when you go to Kaswa to Winneba Road, it's also GOG. That is in excess of $400 million as well. I must say, that particular contractor never actually slowed down really, had been working consistently. The president says that though these projects were awarded by the previous administration, the importance of this project means that we cannot wait. So we should prioritize them the same way his own flagship Big Push projects are prioritized. So we innovate those contracts onto a Big Push and put them under the same funding. If you go to Kumasi, the how do you call it, the flyover that is the interchange that is supposed to be built there, which has stalled because it's a supplier's credit, and then we can't find the money. We are taking on that project as additional Big Push project so that we can finance them within the same framework. So there are 2 or 3 categories of roads that we are prioritizing currently. The original Big Push project, the project we are innovating onto Big Push, which have been started. But there's one particular one that when my colleagues in NPP talk about, and I keep telling them, we need to be careful about this. The Agona to Takrady project, which is a very important project as well. That project was also awarded before our colleagues left power, also in dollars. The contractor has raised 4 different certificates. The total of those certificates is $68 million. From the beginning to date, not a dollar was paid. Yet you hear my colleagues talking about pay the contractor, pay the contractor. A number of the certificates were raised when they were there. Why didn't they pay them? So, yes, we have taken over administration. President Mahama never said he's not going to complete this project, and he's taking the challenge, and we are determined to make sure that those projects are completed. So that is the difference between us and the new party.
Indeed. You said a number of things, so I want to take us back slightly. Yeah. A lot of the roads you say will connect farms to good transportation, so to speak, right? But how many of these roads are actual feeder roads that lead to farm gates?
Okay, so the ones I've mentioned currently are the main arteries in the country. Okay. The Eastern Corridor, Western Corridor, East-West, and then the loops around the country. There's a different program to link the feeder roads. Okay. If you watch Parliament last 2 weeks, last 2 Fridays to be specific, Parliament passed a new legislation, which is the Road Maintenance Trust Fund. We are converting the existing road fund to a Road Maintenance Trust Fund. Yes, the original idea about the road fund was for road maintenance, but it still since lost its focus. So, for instance, there can be a year where a road minister can decide that in a region or a district, very little is spent on the lesser known roads, because the idea is that when you build interchange, then you can do a picture of it in campaign and say we've done this. But the bulk of the productive roads in our country leads to places of agro-processing and other things. Right. And those are not fanciful ones. When you build a feeder road, nobody actually sees it as anything. So the president's focus is that for the next 3.5 years, we should also, whilst we are doing the main arteries, the feeders onto the main spines of the country are the feeder road. That is the one that is leading to the yam growing area, the cashew growing area, the tourism area and other things. And that is where he came up with this big idea of at least 5,000 kilometers of roads within those catchment areas to link the feeder road.
So, which means you're referring to the 166 constituencies that you plan to construct roads in.
Exactly.
The roads there are feeder roads.
Exactly.
Oh,
so
see.
these roads came up simply because I went around the 16 regions. Indeed, there's a clear disparity in terms of distribution of national resource in terms of road across the country. When I went around the country, I went to some regions that it was difficult to see any active road project. And you can get into another region that 25 contractors are actively working. It shows a clear, decision to realign, reset the way we spend.
Right.
Currently, about 70-75% of our budget on road is spent on Greater Accra, Ashanti, Eastern, and some few regions. Some regions get very little of that. The reset is basically trying to say that those districts, for instance, I was in part of Bono and then Ahafo. I saw piles of cashew in sacks by the roadside. It took me hours to get to those locations. I have no doubt that it was going to be difficult for any car to come here and cut those sacks of cashew that farmers toiled years to grow to the center that will be sold and money brought back to the farmers. There's no doubt that you needed to have a program to construct roads to those areas so that the farmer can get value. The farmer can have a reason to go back to the farm and grow more cashew, which is a big international commodity currently. So I believe that those are the basis of the 166. We are just saying that those 166 districts appear to be...
Wait, is it districts or constituencies?
Districts, yes.
Okay.
But don't forget that most districts are related to the constituency. Adaklu is one district, one constituency. So that is how we came about it. So it is not an arbitrary selection in favor of one location or the other, but we believe that in terms of equity, they have a lesser investment. Whilst if we were to increase the investment, we believe they can also unlock their potentials in terms of agro processing and other things to feed into the government 24-hour economy program.
But you haven't named the districts, even though you know the numbers.
No, we are still working to come up with the exact intervention, because the next thing that will happen if I say district A, B, and C is what are you doing? Because the level of intervention differs from a place to place. There could be a district that the difficulty they have is that there's a bridge which is not fit for purpose. Anytime it rains, it overtops and then everything goes wrong. So it could be that we just needed to build a bigger culvert because the main road is okay. But there are districts that the entire stretch leading to the production sector point there is completely not fit for purpose.
Right. So has assessment been done or not to come up with the 166 number?
We have done the assessment already and know that some of the over 160 districts are the worst in terms of road infrastructure.
Which means that then you should know whatever they need at this time.
No, not entirely, because driving on a road saying that it is bad doesn't tell you that you need 15 culverts, you need one bridge, you need the road, this intervention to be done.
So give me an example of the 166 places
almost all the districts along the Bolgawa corridor have serious challenges. In fact, now that the rains have started, I can show you videos on my phone where communities are cut off. Even in Bono region, just recently, a bridge cut off a community that students went to school with teachers, cannot come back home because the bridge has been cut off. Fortunately, those ones, we quickly deploy emergency activities, and there's a contractor there almost completing the culvert, which means at least we can save the passage. But the condition of the road itself is another program that we needed to work on. So it would, the rollout of that is dependent on the rollout of the Ghana Road Maintenance Trust Fund. So people should just not be in a hurry to say, like, what are the districts? We should be in a hurry to what are you going to do about it? And the first step is to identify the challenge across the country, have a program which is to be undertaken through the Road Maintenance Trust Fund, make sure that fund is well resourced. And one of the beautiful things about this is that for the first time, a road fund is going to be is set up, and the sharing of the resources will be determined by Parliament. In the past, a road minister can decide what to do with the road fund. From now, Parliament, just like GET Fund, NHIS, Common Fund, a portion of that money will be apportioned. So every single district in our country, every year, would have an amount of money set aside for maintenance of road in that district.
I see. Let's put a pin in the road fund because I want us to look at it broadly, also in connection with the 166 district plan that you have. But let's roll back to the Accra-Kumasi issue that you had mentioned, that the president wants to create a loop. How is that different from the bypass?
Okay. Historically, in fact, I am aware that 2 or 3 proposals have been brought to the ministry, unsolicited though, in the past, to build a completely new alignment from Accra to Kumasi, independent of what we all know today as Accra-Kumasi Highway. Governments over the period have been trying to improve Accra-Kumasi, i.e. dualizing sections in piecemeal. Now, at the tail end of the past government, they awarded 8 different projects on a number of bypasses on Accra-Kumasi Highway. The cost of those projects at the time was supposed to be 1.9 billion Ghana cedis. They budgeted for that amount of money to complete the project. Towards the middle of the project all came to request, the contractors came to request additional 1.7 billion as variations to the 1.9 billion. In effect, if you look at the contract, some of the contracts actually require more than 100% of the money to complete. Now, the government never told President Mahama's government never told any contractors to suspend work. Right. They are all supposed to continue working. However, if you award a project for 1.9 billion and request a 1.7 billion variation to the same contract, something must have gone totally wrong. If you watch, the first time I had an encounter with my good friend, the former road minister, was when I raised this. Somebody questioned me in Parliament and I raised this issue. And the question was, when are you going to complete that? And I said, we haven't actually asked any contractor to stop work. In the on-account budget that Parliament passed in December 2024, was there an allocation for the 1.7 billion which NDC decided not to use? No, there was nothing like that. So if there's a big problem, that means that we need to double the amount of money we need to complete that project. We just need to understand why. And so when we queried why the project's cost has doubled, we were told that because at the time of awarding the project, the government then, or the agencies used a drone to fly to determine the alignment, and then awarded the project based on that data. The contractors claim they got to the site, just realized that the video footage or whatever they gave them, under there were Galamsey site and marshy areas, and so they needed extra money to do this. When I gave this explanation in Parliament, my colleague, in fact, if you check his Facebook page, came and said that the kind of drone they used was so sophisticated that it should have determined everything that a contractor needed to get. So if the person who awarded the project says that, as far as they are concerned, they did the right thing, in other words, doubting the legitimacy of the additional 1.7 billion Ghana cedi, how do you expect a new minister to basically sign on and say that I'm authorizing the expenditure of additional 1.7 billion? So that is what it is. And I must say that out of the 8 lots, at least one of the contractors has completely finished his work. The only problem is that where his lot is, though he's completed, is not connected back to the main road, so it cannot be used. That is the sad situation. It's in the wilderness somewhere, it's completed, they cannot be used because it's not connected back to join the main Accra-Kumasi highway.
So what happens with the rest of the 7?
They are all at different stages of completion. And so once we get to the bottom of that, we now need to budget for them to be completed. In any case, those who say that we are abandoning a government existing project, right, I mean, they should look at themselves and ask, we are taking on a project of $340 million you awarded on Ofanko. And last week, we paid over 400 million Ghana cedi to that contractor. And this week, we continue paying. How do you call that government is abandoning existing project? How do you call it? Kaswa to Winneba Road. The contractor is working. We have novated that we are going to complete. The Agona to Takrady project, which you awarded, if you have paid $1 out of it, which we are taking on. How then do you say that we are abandoning a project? And in any case, unlike 2017, when the government gave a directive that all Cocoa Road projects should be suspended pending investigation, President Mahama's government never asked any contractor to suspend any work. So there's no iota of evidence to say that we have abandoned any road project in the country. All contractors working on the bypass project are free to go to site and work.
I mean, so again, we'll put a pin in that because I want to name a few projects that your predecessor had mentioned back in Parliament. You tell us where you are with that. But let's stick with the Kumasi situation. So the loop that the president wants now, how does it tie in the already existing expressways, the already existing projects, right?
Okay.
The 7 not completed yet, right? How does it connect to those ones?
Okay, so there are two situations. The struggle from Accra to Kumasi, and that 2 hours or so struggle through Kumasi to exit Kumasi. So whilst we are doing the bypasses, there has always been the need to resolve even traffic congestion inside Kumasi. That is the whole point of Swami Interchange, which has also been more or less abandoned because it's a supplies credit loan. And once our finances dried up as part of the debt restructuring, that also stalled, which we are taking on as additional project on the big push. So what we are trying to do about the loop around Kumasi is that currently, that is a road we have. People use it. But when you are approaching Kumasi, you need to detour at Ejisu so that you can do the fourth quadrant. You do a circle, a quarter of a circle, and then join the road go on leading to Mampong, which will significantly, to be honest, cut the waste of time you have to suffer if you were to drive to Kumasi itself. That is different from the expressway we want to build from Accra to Kumasi as an alternative. Look, we have an
alternative to the bypasses.
No, an alternative to the current route from Accra to Kumasi. We have the motorway. But we have been investing to build the beach road because sometimes the situation is such that even the motorway or the beach road gets congested and other things. So it's an alternative route to Kumasi, and it's not just a road project. It's a whole growth area. And if people take time and the result of the study comes out, you realize that it is needed now than ever before. That does not mean that we are abandoning the existing alignment of Accra-Kumasi.
But it's not in your multi-year big push program, is it?
It is.
No, there's 7 other bypasses that are not completed yet from the previous administration.
It wouldn't have been because there were contracts on site that we know that the government budgeted 1.9 billion. So all we were coming to do is to continue that project to a completion. We came in to realize that we needed to double that money, which was not budgeted for, both by the NPP government before they were leaving office, because there's nowhere in any of their budget that they are budgeted to spend additional 1.7 billion on the bypasses. So we now have the burden of trying to carry that on as a new project in subsequent budget. So it's as simple as that.
Right. But you know what some have said is that if you do this your new expressway, expanding the existing infrastructure, then you create the loop at Ejisu. So that, according to you, will cut the time.
Exactly.
It is much more money than completing the 7 bypasses, the remaining 7 bypasses, which can properly connect the expressway or the expansion of the highway we have now that you hope
you see, as a road minister, I look at the country. Today, the condition of Wenchi, Sola, Wa is an equally difficult situation for me to accept. The same way the road between Have through Hohwe all the way to Otidamanko, the same way Wa to Bolga. So I am unable to just decide that I want to be fixated on one particular road when I know that the situation is bigger than discussing Accra-Kumasi or Wenchi Sola. I'm looking at a broader situation. So our solution is a nationwide solution and intended to address a nationwide challenge. So whilst my colleague, the former minister, wanted the whole discussion. In fact, he said that he disagrees with me for building roads in every region because only two regions are populated, Accra and Kumasi. I beg to differ. I believe it is one country. Our resources, of course, we already spend more. In fact, if you take the big push, we are spending on some regions more than the others. It is about creating equity that we don't spend almost all our national resources on only few regions because it is a unified country that we should be spending in equitable ways to bring everybody up. Yes, even big push, we have big push projects in Greater Accra. We have big push project in Ashanti region. We have in Volta region. In fact, we have big push project in every single region. All the 16 regions are benefiting from the big push project. Not to talk about the 166 and other maintenance programs.
Just one last one on the Accra-Kumasi situation, right? Because again, ranking on the roads committee, roads and transport committee says that this new project that you plan to do on the highway will cost us about $1 billion if we are starting from scratch. But if you conclude or complete the existing bypasses, you're looking at $343 million. Why are you not cutting costs? Wouldn't it be easier to cut
I don't know where his figures came from, but I am sure the Eastern Corridor project, which will convey 80% of the yam and other things we consume in Accra-Tema, was on site under contract and completed when they went and started the bypasses. Is anybody supposed to say that they have prioritized the bypasses against Eastern Corridor? In fact, Wenchi, Sola, Wa, there are sections that have been deteriorated, contractors on site in some sections, and were neglected. Borga Wa, that contracted, in fact, even the loops around, how do you call it, Sunyani, was under contract prior to the 2016 election, was abandoned. And then we went and started others. Is that to suggest that somebody decided that they want to ignore others? No, that is not what it is. So I completely reject the idea that the whole discussion about what we should do to upscale road infrastructure in our country should be reduced to complete Accra-Kumasi. And I ask the question.
Well, I guess it's because of the number of incidents we see on those roads.
So has anybody said the contractors working on the bypass should stop work? Unlike 2017, when MPP directed that some road projects should be suspended pending investigation. No. So I'm giving a clear indication. If you are a contractor working on the 8 bypasses, go back to site tomorrow morning and work. Nobody stops you from working. The question we should be asking the previous administration is, how come you were so negligent in awarding a project when you haven't finished preparation of the project and now have to double the cost, yet you never made any provision, even in your last budget, to fund that? In fact, if we met a budget that said that we're supposed to spend 1.7 billion extra on that road, we would have actually followed it. But there was nothing like that. So I'm saying that it has not been suspended. It has not been left. Indeed, one of the contractors has almost achieved 100% completion. What about that one? Yeah, so what stopped the other contractor from doing the same?
I see. Yeah. But I think we'll come back to the question I was asking, that if those contractors also conclude what they are doing, then we will need the judicial loop. We'll still need the judicial loop. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for clarifying that. But I did say that we should put a pin into some of the issues around abandoned projects. Because in Parliament, your predecessor mentioned Kokobeng Rim, Sola Wa, and on bypasses, he also says Osino, Enyinem, and Konongo. How are you dealing with these ones? Okay,
the other, apart from Sola Wa, which he mentioned, all of them, the rest he mentioned, are just on the same bypass issues. Sola Wa, another one awarded to a contractor, Keminni. The contract never even turned up on site. He built a site compound, hasn't even started work. Not even 1% of the work has been done. So they awarded the work, the project, no work has been done. And guess what? We have taken on that project as part of, President Mahama directed, that project should be part of additional big push. So it's either my colleague is not listening to us or has got his own prepared answers and questions and answers in his head, and he's still putting them out. Because almost all the major projects they have either through lack of preparation awarded, which have become a problem to the country. We are working on them. Ofanko, we are working on. Kaswa Winiba, we are working on. Agona, Takradi, we are working on. The only issue is, in fact, if the issue about the bypasses wasn't about that unprecedented variation, almost 100%, it would have been working. But the question is, how come one of the contractors completed the work and others are off the site? Those are the things we need to find out.
Are we going to see you go after these contractors who haven't returned to conclude the work on...
The contractors haven't offended me. Their contracts have been given to them. If they have stopped working because they haven't been paid, they will not be the only ones. That is why we are working to pay.
So then, when you say they should, you haven't asked them to stop work, but they should come back.
Yes.
Will you then commit money to what they are doing so they come back?
As far as I'm concerned, that contract has got a budget and contract price for all the eight lots. We are working with that one at the moment because the variation is yet to be approved. So as far as I'm concerned, the only legitimate contract for those projects is what the NPP has approved and have awarded. So we are working to that. If we are working to that, then all contractors will be on site working.
I see. Now, while we're on the subject of the Big Push program, we've looked at the over 32, right? About 32 routes that you will be either rehabilitating, reconstructing, upgrading, or constructing from scratch. Now, when we compare the funding for the Big Push, for instance, which, I mean, we heard recently about how Parliament had approved that all oil and mineral royalty revenues be put into the Big Push program. Then it got me asking, okay, how are you going to, for instance, maneuver the Petroleum Revenue Management Act to be able to do this? Because again, if you are able to give all of that money to the Big Push, then you'll be starving areas also like health and education. Okay,
so that narrative came from somebody who obviously, I think I saw something, somebody forwarded something to me on social media. The finance minister was clear. All revenues are apportioned and is backed by law. The only portion that is being used for road is the annual budget funding amount, the one that already comes to the budget for capital investment. So we are not automatic. In fact, some mineral revenues go to as royalties to many things across the country. There's no law that can allow the finance minister to seize all mineral royalties and oil revenue and channel it into one. All those exist. It is only the one that is under the budget line, ABFA, that is being used for roads. But in the past, we have used the same to build AstroTurf, KVIPs, and other things. But it never solved the problem. The president's view, and I agree, is that let's do something that unlocks the bigger picture for our country. Yes, KVIP is important for somebody, but I am sure when we complete Winchi to Sola, if you use that road, you know that we have achieved something that can bring bigger result to the country. If we complete the Eastern Corridor, for the first time, almost every budget that I've had as an adult, I've mentioned Eastern Corridor, and it's never completed. Those are the things we want to do. So it is not to say that henceforth, road versus health versus education. In any case, the finance minister put it quite rightly. We have paid over 4 billion to get fund. Today, you don't hear students are going to school. When was the last time you heard that schools will not be open because free SHS didn't pay them money? Or the kids have gone to school and are being fed very substandard food. When was the last time you heard that? Because President Mahama has solved the problem we all knew about free SHS all along, dedicated funding. He's uncapped the GET fund and have decided that we allocate dedicated fund to that. I see. When was the last?
So what you're telling us is that dedicating the ABFA.
Yes.
And you're right about that. Dedicating the ABFA.
For 2 years.
For 2 roads, we will not affect areas like agriculture or health.
No, because they have different budget lines as well. Health, you talked about. Currently, when was the last time you heard any service provider to NHI saying that they are closing down their facility because they have not been paid? We pay them monthly.
But the reason I'm asking that also is that it's also true that the ABFA is not only dedicated to infrastructure or road construction.
Yes.
Yes. So then it is germane question when we ask that doing this for the next 2 years will be starving these other areas.
So what would have been the alternative? That we continue building KVIP everywhere and leave the roads this way? I believe that at a point in time in our lives, even as people, we can decide this year, I want to start a mortgage. I can even sell my car and buy a smaller car. For the next 5 years, I want to dedicate my resources to make a dent on my mortgage. Or I want to marry. I want to save money to marry. Not many people in their lives will decide that when I finish school, I want to buy a house, buy a car, get married, build a house and everything at the same time. You still need to prioritize. And we are saying that from all the studies that preceded the 2024 election and all that we see people saying every day, every time people demonstrate, they say, yes, we know we have problem with health. We know we have problem with education. But we think we should do something significant about our road. Notwithstanding that, we are making investment in healthcare. We're making investment in education. Get Fund is awarding new contracts for the building of classroom blocks and other things. We are paying contractors who were owed money by Get Fund. NHIS is building district offices to expand access to the fund. They are paying service providers. So which sector are we talking about that we are taking money away from that would be stifled? It doesn't exist.
I see. Let's stay on the subject of funding a little bit. And then look at your list of projects under Big Push, right? I'll just draw that up quickly because I want us to take each one. So we have, for instance, point number 1, construction of a new bridge on the Oti River at Dambai. Very consistent with the NDC's manifesto.
Excellent.
Rehabilitation of Wahan Road, upgrading of Tumu Hamile Road, upgrading of Tumu Han Laura Road, reconstruction of Navrongo Tumu, rehabilitation of Techiman Nkozia, Wenchi. So when you look at the list, there's a lot of rehabilitation, upgrading. Now, the Big Push this is under the Big Push, right? But at the same time, you have the Road Maintenance Trust, right? Which is also supposed to take care of maintenance. It would appear we have an overlap of a situation here, don't we? In terms of funding.
No. Okay. So when you see things like reconstruction, rehabilitation, it's just a term of art at the ministry or the agencies as to the extent of interventions we need. On some roads, it's an existing road that has been engineered in the past. Sections have failed systematically. There are portions of that road that, let's say, a box culvert of a certain size was built, let's say, 30 years ago. The volumes that pass through under that bridge today are 3 times bigger. So we need to completely reconstruct. Maybe we need a bridge instead of a culvert. So those descriptions basically just fit into...
But that sounds like maintenance to me.
Not exactly. If you were to be traveling from Wa to Boga, now, of course, no, even Wenchi to the Wa, of course, the road exists. You can use your 7 hours and do it. Simply because sections are failed, totally failed, because it was built in the past. That falls within a certain category of intervention at the ministry. You just need to look at the scope of what interventions needed to be done. So maintenance can go from maybe routine maintenance, just making sure the roads are cleared, gutters are desilted or pothole, or major work, which is like reseal, build new culverts and other things. So that is not, I thought the issue people raised rather was that from Wa to Bolga, there are about a number of lots on there. What you read here is the way the project have been lotted. So let's say from Atimpoku all the way to Ketu South. It's one long project. It's over almost 200 kilometers. It's been broken into, let's say, 6-7 lots. But we are mentioning the lot. But in reality, it's one very long road. But we don't intend to give that to one contractor, because basically what will happen is the person will be sleeping on it and the work will not be done on time. So we break them. So what you are reading is simply because of the way the projects have been lotted. So the first few that you mentioned are all on the, few of them are just basically on the Winchi, Solar, and then other ones are Bogatua section.
Right. So, I mean, so based on your definition of what maintenance will be and what the road trust fund will be used for, then how would it be able to then deal with the condition of our feeder roads?
Okay, so we are dedicating much of the road maintenance trust fund to exactly what you have described, roads within districts. So the major ones that are not district or constituency specific are the ones we are taking on as the big push.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is that if the definition of maintenance and what the trust fund will be used for is what you have just told us, issues of potholes here and there and fixing those things, then it means that we cannot use that same money to fix or construct proper roads to our farm gates.
I didn't even see any maintenance on the big push. They are mostly reconstruction, construction, rehabilitation.
You know, I mean, forget about this one.
Okay.
Forget about this one.
All right, okay.
I want us to talk about the road trust fund again, because of your definition of what maintenance is and what the trust fund is also meant to do. If we understand maintenance as fixing things here and there, including potholes here and there, then we cannot say that the feeder roads, your 166 district projects, will be funded by the road trust fund.
Why would
Do you disagree?
No, I disagree, because the road maintenance trust fund, we cannot say road construction is just a caption. It's a maintenance program that is consistent activity. If we finish this big push project, reconstruction, construction, the following year, we need to budget for maintenance of those projects.
How will that pay for the feeder roads to the farm?
Yes, because those projects are selected differently and the different interventions are described. So there are some activities on a road in the district that will be completely reconstruct, build and tar. So it is not to say that the activities under the road maintenance trust fund are going to be only pothole patching and other things. Because though
what is the fund for then? Is the fund not for maintenance of roads?
Maintenance can include reconstruction in the district. It can include a new culvert.
Is that what the law says?
Yes. It's all laid out in that law. It can include a new culvert. It can include desilting of gutters. It can include pothole patching. But all those activities are generated by stakeholders in that district. However, Wenchi Wa is not specifically in the domain of any district. They all go through this district. But the interest of this road goes beyond any particular. In fact, if you get to Solar, the MC or DC in Solar can say that they don't like the road, and I also don't like it. The road going through Solar, that section is bad. However, it takes a bigger commitment beyond Solar District Assembly to fix what is going through them, their community.
I want to run us along quickly.
Okay.
Some of these roads that border on trunk road projects like the corridors, they are already funded outside of our budgets, aren't they? For instance, you have the JICA project.
At the moment,
for the Eastern Corridor, or
no, the JICA facility is exhausted. We have finished a section of that. The sections I mentioned now are not under JICA.
I see.
Yes.
And the World Bank project too is exhausted.
Yes, none of the ones we are talking about now has got any active donor funding. Some of them have suppliers credit, like the Swami Interchange. It's like a commercial facility that has gone through the roof, so it doesn't exist any longer. We need to program our own money until the economy gets better, that we can attract funding from elsewhere. We need to do all these things within the confines of the budget.
So as of now, we do not have any external funding.
There are projects that are being completed, but they are not captured here, and none of this is captured under any of these projects. Yes.
I see. Yeah. Very well. Let's look at issues to do with the audit report and how some contractors they had drawn money, they had not done the projects. To what extent is this widespread across the country?
Well, what I can say is that the way by which we contract, not only road ministry, across all the agencies of state, ought to be better to be able to derive a better value for money. Currently, there are two sources of funding for road projects at the ministry. We have the road fund, and then we have the government of Ghana funding some of them. Keminni, what happens is that sometimes a project is awarded and the source of fund is described as road fund. Then a contractor hears that the government is paying contractors through a vote by government of Ghana at the Ministry of Finance. Then they try to convince the agencies to change the source of fund for the project from road fund to GOG. In the process, it appears sometimes that same certificate that was originally supposed to be lodged with road fund and later transferred to GOG, I will not be surprised that both will be paid, which is completely illegal. And I know some agencies of state are looking into a few of those as we speak.
How many of those are you looking into?
I am unable to, because some of them are quite sensitive, where it appears people have attempted or actually succeeded in some cases by getting one certificate paid more than once, which is a serious issue.
That's double payment, so to speak?
Yes. I mean, a certificate once paid is retired and should not even be available for anybody to pay. But I see that as a systemic.
How were they able to?
Because the systems, there's no unified platform where you can say that project X is awarded, and then on Tuesday they paid 40 cedis and it's left with 100 cedis. So even if I pay the 40 cedis and leave, and you come, all you are left to pay is 60 cedis. Sometimes, because of the nature of the data we keep, it gives opportunity for unpatriotic people to behave like that. But so the bigger issue is to solve that problem at that level, and then we can monitor and make sure that when certificates are generated, they only get paid for once.
Right. So, and how are you ensuring that that will be the case in the future?
Well, I can. My advantage is that I can understand what a certificate is, and I'm careful what I approve and what I don't. And for me, it is not about victimizing or catching one person. It's about solving the systemic problem, which is how contracts are managed at the ministry to make sure that even if somebody did it in the past, it doesn't repeat itself during my tenure. That is what we need to do.
Indeed. While we are on this, you mentioned two cases in Parliament, the motorway to Central University stretch and the fact that the contractor had not done work for a long time. You also talked about an Indian contractor who had taken about $30 million and had not done the work. What actually will you be doing, or are you doing, to ensure that we get value for money?
Keminni, I wish, in fact, sometimes during quiet time, I do invite some of my colleagues, agency heads, and I open sections of some contracts. And I say to them, how on earth could we be Ghanaians and write contracts like this? Even if you take contract that we borrow, FIDIC contracts, you have every right to create what you call specific conditions, which is you are supposed to adapt the contract to yourself. The issue is such that for a long time, and I wouldn't even say that it started in the past administration alone, we'd say we are getting somebody, let's say somebody from UK, say they've got some money to help us build road. And then we write a contract in such a way that, of course, the money is coming from a bank somewhere. Then we say we'll give you 20% mobilization. And when we give you mobilization, you can go, normally mobilization is certificate number one. Then the second certificate will give you this amount of money. And with the specific case of the Indian company, if you notice, it's a road, I think, Savelugu to Waliwali. In fact, it's on the route from Tamale to Bolga, a very bad road as well, that we should have constructed since yesterday. So when the loan agreement came to Parliament, we were all excited. And if you check the Hansards, we all supported it because we know it's the right thing to do. Then in that contract, because many of the times the contracts the agreement that is brought to Parliament does not actually have the details of the contract before MPs give whatever approval we are supposed to give. In that contract, we are saying that we will pay the contractor a certain amount of money. In this case, it was close to $30 million. And if the contractor raises the next certificate, after a period of time, if we are unable to honor the certificate, the contractor is free to ask for termination of contract. Keminni, if you were to struggle, borrow money from the bank, give whatever the bank has disbursed to you so far to a contractor, this is my land, come and start the building, and will you write a contract and say that after taking 30% of the money, if the bank that gave you the money decide that they will not fund you again, the contractor can go away with the amount of money you gave him for now. That's exactly what that contract was.
That's the situation with the $30 million.
That was the situation. And the contractor actually, so the sad one was that as of 2024, end of 2024, when the Vice President Bawumia was promising that the contractor would come back to site and complete work, he wasn't even aware that the contractor has already tendered their termination request to the government of Ghana. He wasn't even aware. So the contractor was hoping that we'll just agree that we have terminated, then they can walk away with $30 million. It's not going to happen. It is not going to happen.
Are you getting them back to do the work?
What?
Or collecting the money?
They have only two options. Come back and work up to $30 million worth, or give us back our money.
Have you engaged them, and what does it look like?
Well, I've engaged them once, and they are... I would not say some of the things because it will annoy Ghanaians if they get to know some of the things.
They don't
the only thing I can tell you is that on the day of the sword cutting, even the equipment that were on the side before the sword was cut didn't even belong to the contractors.
I see.
So it didn't give me any indication that they were really interested in doing the work. And at the point in time, they were moving the equipment. Later, when they brought few equipment, they were moving the equipment to Guinea. To highways needed to write them and caution them that it's illegal because you brought the equipment in based on waivers given to you by Parliament. So I'm specific about this contractor, not because they are the only culprits. Others are there. And when they listen to me, they know that we know what we are talking about. Some also took money, not only in road. Some have taken money in railway, taken money, others, huge amounts of money. They are not doing the work. But the contracts that Ghanaians have helped them write is such that they may hardly face any justice.
Is the AG involved in any of this?
The AG is involved in this. Okay. And I must say that even before the exit of the previous government, they tried to get the AG to enforce and get the Indian an insurance company to reimburse Ghana, but we were blocked by a court order. But it's rule of law so far. But the Attorney General is aware, and we are working on it. And you will collect all the money, so have the work done? We have to do that because, Keminni, today, if I have $30 million, I know how many road contractors have worked in our communities, including Greater Accra, that are owed 2 million cedis, 3 million cedis, that needed that money to just go and finish that work and pay the bank. I don't have that money to give them. Yet somebody have gone away with $30 million.
I mean, so top of your mind, how much of our money is being sat on by contractors who are refusing to work? Well, the finance minister mentioned a figure between $500 and $1 billion. Dollars. Yeah. I see. I want to talk about the road fund again because the issue of ring fencing is really important to the project. But we also know that over the years, our road fund has either been used to amortize or used as collateral for loans. Are there any legacy debts that you have inherited? How are you going to deal with that? Excellent. Yes, at the time of transition, we were told that the government of Ghana owes contractors GOG version about 21 billion and road fund 5.1 billion. Last week, the update I have is that the road fund component is now 7 billion, not new work, because certificates keep coming. It can only suggest that the GOG one is also going to be bigger. So
anything in the region of over 30 billion is what we owe now and have to work and retire those debt to contractors because many of them have worked. But the Finance Ministry and Auditor General have been doing some work. Our understanding is that about 86% of the work has been done. So that is the basis upon which we have started paying some contractors for this. But you touched on something that is very dear or informed one of the reasons we needed to reenact the road fund. In the past, road fund was the easy pick for people to collateralize. So everybody knows road fund will bring maybe 3 billion this year. But somebody goes to take 15 billion and collateralize it for a number of years. So there could be a time that a government comes and there's absolutely nothing. We have outlawed all that in the new law. Road fund cannot go and borrow money on accruals. We will use whatever it is. If a time comes that we need to do that, we have to go back to Parliament. But as of now, the road fund is not allowed to collateralize its accruals. All accruals must be used specifically for the activities. You remember what they did with Dachi, with Get Fund? They went and collateralized Get Fund. It is a two-force.
But how about the ones that have been taken already in respect of the road fund?
That one becomes the finance minister gave a blanket undertaking to take on all those debts, including the Dachi, and then to give them a clean bill of health. So that from now, all that debt is now government of Ghana debt, and then they can have their peace of mind to focus on their core mandate, either road fund, Get Fund, and others.
I want to talk about Axle load stations and the new regime just before we go. And I apologize, I do not have a lot of time on this, so I'm going to rush you a little bit. So you're increasing the fines, but how are you going to ensure that indeed it is the fines that will be deterrent and not transparency from those who work at the Axle stations?
Well, the point is that I sincerely believe that the Axle load regime is not fit for purpose. It creates opportunity for people to do the wrong thing. I was shocked when I went to an Axle load station and realized that even all the data on their computer, even if they find you and you pay the 5,000 in the evening, somebody can just delete the data and decide that they haven't collected any money. It's not fit for purpose. So it's become an avenue for people to extort money. I was told in the past the Axle load penalty, not fee, because you are only being fined for breaching a law. No amount of money collected as penalty for Axle load would ever be enough to maintain our roads. So it has always been a deterrent. So it was raised from 300 cedis to 5,000. When it was raised, I was told that the overloading subsided significantly. But when the value of 5,000 became nothing in terms of devaluation or something like that, people started, okay, I'm loading from Tema. I can overload.
If I'm going to my 5,000.
Exactly. They are not even paying 5,000. They probably plan to pay bribe of 2,000 along the way and save some money. So what we are doing is that we are increasing the 5,000 to 50,000. Two things. Of course, the guy who is unpatriotic and taking the bribe, knowing it's 50,000 now, may not even want 5,000, may want more than that. Hopefully, this is deterrent enough. Secondly, if you overload, under the current regime, we remove the excess load and ask you to use a different car to take it. We want to change the law that from now, instead of allowing you to bring another car to take the excess load, we auction the excess load and then put the money in the road maintenance trust fund. If the owner of the good knows that there's a possibility of forfeiting certain portion of the good, I am sure that will be deterrent enough for people to do the right thing.
I see. Why have the workers at the Axle load station in Kumasi been fired? Why have they been dismissed from their jobs?
No one has been dismissed. Their contracts have run out. It's as simple as that. No one has been dismissed.
And you didn't renew their contracts?
I actually don't get involved personally.
Absolutely.
Highways does that. So Highways is in the process of doing that. I deliberately separate myself from getting close to Axle load, except to give policy advice.
We're hearing new people have been employed, and I can appreciate the fact that you are not directly involved, but this is also under your ministry. Yes. We're hearing new people have been employed now, and for some reason the old contractors were just pushed aside.
What is wrong with that?
Is there a reason why that is the case? That old contractors were
if you
fired?
have a contract, that is why it's a contract. I used to work somewhere in London. I have a contract when the period is finished. the client has the opportunity to either renew or find somebody else. So if you've got as a load contract, you've been working for years, and maybe they realize that you are part of the group that have been misconducting yourself, and they say they will not renew it, I have nothing to say.
Do you get the impression that could be the case, that they didn't do the job right and were part of the problem?
Once it's a contract, when it's terminated, when it's ended, I don't think anybody have any explanation to give to somebody whose contract is not being renewed. Unless you are saying that the new people who are being employed are not Ghanaians. But once they are Ghanaians, I don't think...
I mean, I appreciate that. But when your contract is not renewed, but there is an opportunity for the job position to be taken, and it doesn't come to you, only presupposes that the job you did was not appreciated.
And you went to your friend who was unemployed within the period which you were employed. So couldn't you be fair and say that is
that what the case is?
I don't know, but I don't get involved in that. But I am saying that no as a load employee has been fired. Their contracts ran out, and Highways is in the process of engaging new people. It may include people who have worked there before.
I see. Just quickly, there's a question here coming from our Facebook page. I've just been alerted to. It says, please tell the minister that they should plan for monitoring and evaluation so that they can be able to track progress, ensure efficiency, identify issues, and make adjustments.
Excellent view from that viewer. I think it's very educated and a great insight. In fact, half of what we are committed to do at the ministry is exactly that. And it starts with us. The monitoring and supervision starts from the agencies, highway, feeder road, urban road, because part of the poor quality of work is simply because we have failed to carry out our responsibility. That is why we are saying that from now, those who get involved in the monitoring and evaluation and certification of the project will be monitored themselves. So even if you are a consultant today, you are coming to work with us from today. In fact, even existing consultant, we are going to demand that they take professional indemnity insurance because we will no longer tolerate lapses in the quality of work. The Ghanaian is tired of poor quality, expensive road projects. And President Mahama's reset means that we will use Ghanaians to build roads that is fit for purpose, that we'll all be proud of. And the Ghanaian contractor must be happy that we want to demand it. So as for monitoring and evaluation, we are going to spend time on that. I would be encouraging TV3 and Media General Network, which I'm very grateful for. When we did the 16 region tours, you were always with us. When the projects get on site, we're not going to be in the office. We are going to be happy to have you around so that you can report live from the various sites to Ghanaians as to what we are doing or President Mahama's vision for the big push. You should be able to report live from site.
Honorable, thank you for sitting with us. That's all we have time for today. There's so much to talk about. We could even get into the bottom of your district level.
How is the road in your neighborhood?
It depends on where you live. That question is a very tricky one. It depends on where you live, doesn't it? It does. It does.
It means you are living in a very good area.
You should. No, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Thank you so much. Honorable Kwame Agbodia is Minister for Roads and Highways. Almost putting me on the spot there. But I'll see you same time next week. This is Hot Issues. Bye-bye.